Good day, I'm Roland Cullinan. I'm from Roland Target Systems, and we trade as the name POAT. The reason POAT exists was to help the man from the point of aim right through the shot to actually stay on his point of aim when the bullet goes out the rifle. Since 1998 we've been starting with this. We've been trying to develop, and there's been a lot written about point of aim. Everybody teaches you how to aim. Nobody's around to actually show you what to do once you start pulling that trigger. The whole problem is that on a standard target, you can move off your point of aim as you're pulling the trigger, because that is the moment where you don't clearly see whether you stay on a small point of aim, which is required to group. And one needs to group before you can sight your rifle. One needs to group before you can choose a load if you're developing loads. The problem was, how do we do this? So what we did was we developed a standard point of aim target like this, with your absolute accurate measurements on minute of angle, as no range is more than 100 yards. So on 29.1 MOA, there's 100 meter, 200 meter, 300 meter and 400 meter. But that wasn't the problem, because even aiming at the small points on the target, nobody seems to see if they're staying on them, and once they get to the target, they don't know what happened, if there were flyers or a bad group, etc. To neutralize this, we started working on a sticker target, which actually goes hand in hand with your A3 cardboard target. The purpose of this target is to give you clarity and definite parameters, so that should you move off that point of aim in the last second as you pulling that trigger, you can still control it and say no, and you practice your muscle memory again. So at the end of the day, this sticker target over here is actually a comprehensive target that does everything for you. You can use that in conjunction with this to sight your rifle, to do all your settings, and for accurate measurement according to your scope. Depending on the scope that you've got, whether it's an MOA setting scope, we would use an MOA target. And we have the MILRAD target for the scopes that work in metric and set in centimeters. On the target system over here, we're going to explain the finer things of actually how to get through the shot while staying on your point of aim. Because previously everybody blamed the person behind the scope, but he couldn't see. So now we've made it possible for him to actually see the shot through, and he will know if there is a mistake, etc., and it will be in time to actually stop the shot and start again. So the finer points will include, basically, if we look at it, starting out, your scope focus. Many people are prepared to shoot on an average standard target, and as soon as we put a sticker target on, they cannot see the bull. Their scopes are not perfectly focused. This bull will not come out until your scope is correctly focused, your parallax settings are correct, etc. While you're busy aiming on this now, and once you've got that right, we start. To be able to use this sticker target on this target, you just about leave your rifle in the rest on a bench. You relax right through your neck, your cheek, your shoulder on this side, right through until the gun is lying quiet on this bull. Because normally on paper you cannot see how much you're trembling. On this, the minute you hold the rifle tight, you'll see how much you tremble. So to prevent that, you start relaxing right round, and as you get to a point where it lies quiet, you pull the rifle back into your shoulder where you want to shoot, get the balance of it, and then you can do the trigger pull. Now the crucial part of this, building muscle memory, is that you must do the same in the second shot, the third shot, the fourth shot, to be able to group. On paper you cannot see if you're actually doing the same thing, because it cannot tell you that. The clarity of this point of aim target over here will show you exactly when you're aiming again, how much you're trembling, whether you're holding the gun up straight, etc., until you do step 2 of the muscle memory again, right relax, and you'll be doing the same thing. Therefore your chances are much greater of getting to a good group. The beauty about this is that you can practice this whole sequence dry until you settle with your trigger and everything in your back garden if you have to. The third thing is, everybody shooting groups on a normal average target, whether they can see they moved off the point of aim or not, these guys pull that shot. because they cannot see what's going on there. With point of aim targets, it is so clear with a definite parameter when you move off the bull that at the last moment of your brain-eye finger coordination pulling the trigger, you can still say no, and you can go back to the muscle memory and practice that again until you're happy with that, and then it'll show you you're doing the same as the previous shot, and then you can shoot that shot again with a great chance of knowing when you get to the target what happened with each shot. Whereas on normal paper targets, by the time you get to the target, you're not sure if it was you, the gun, the ammunition, the telescope, or any other factors. So what's happening is we are taking the factors that you can control, which is you behind the rifle, and we're neutralizing that because you have enough external factors counting against you while you shoot. Right, so what's happened now is we've explained to you vaguely how this works. There are basically 3 steps you can follow as an instruction when you're sitting behind your rifle. Alright, the first one is your scope focus. The second one is muscle memory and your trigger pull. Because the minute you start pulling that trigger, everything's fine while you're aiming. And the minute you start pulling that trigger is where all the problems come, and the trembling, the tension, your eyesight, look level through the scope. All those things count, but now you can clearly see the target lying quiet because you've applied your muscle memory of relaxing right round until the gun's right, pulling it into your shoulder. If you see after that you're still moving off it, the third step is leave that shot, don't shoot it, sit back and start muscle memory practice again on step 2. Right, that is now dry fire. So you can practice this dry without wasting 50 Rand cartridge every time. Then you can start out correctly with your live fire. So live fire is basically the 3 options we gave you. You practice your dry fire situation, and should you have a problem over there at this target itself, you'll actually know it wasn't me, it was the ammo, what must I look at, does this load work for me, etc, etc. So what's happened is that throughout the shot, from the aiming process to pulling the shot, you have now actually stayed on your small point of aim with a definite bull. And therefore your groupings are going to start going smaller and smaller. So your ideal situation, when you're going off the shooting range with all the money you spent, all the time you've put into it, is to get good results. So your ideal target today, the best that you can use, is in conjunction with your sticker target according to the range that we have of different choices in color, and in conjunction with the most accurately target endorsed by the Extended Long Range Shooting Association. In addition to this, we have a Smart Zero app which we will continue with later. We're joined here today at Magnum Shooting Range by Christopher Roelofse from Game & Hunt, Wild en Jag, and alias Mr. Bakgat.
It's good to be here, buddy.
Lekker,
Thank you very much, Roland. So, folks, I'm also the president of ELRS, Extended Long Range Shooting South Africa. And that's why we are here today, because POAT Targets is all about GP, point of aim, groups for precision. Now, you would think that this is the type of rifle that we're going to use to demonstrate the methodology on POAT targets, but we're not. Ronald, I've got a big surprise for you. Let me show you the rig that I got set up. Come.
Okay.
So Ronald, take a look at this.
Yo, Chris, what have you got here now?
Something that you did not expect in a precision shooting environment. But this is exactly what we need to demonstrate the methodology behind POAT targets and how to set up your rifle at 100 meters. This is an AR-15 22. It's an actual 22 long rifle AR. And the reason why I selected this for today's exercise, in order to demonstrate the fundamentals and the methodology behind POAT targets, will become clear in a minute.
Thanks, Chris. That's great, because now we're going from theory to practice.
Absolutely.
Right, and that's what no one's done before.
The issue is when you shoot a precision rifle, and people shoot fairly easily, small little clover groupings, it can be exceptionally misleading because there's a small group biased. And what people need to understand is how to calculate a mean radius. It's not about extreme spread, it's about mean radius. How to find the center of the mean radius and align that at 100 meters as the center for your optic.
That's correct, Chris. That's exactly what we intend to achieve, which is very hard to achieve when, as you're pulling the shot, you cannot see whether you're actually staying on the same mean center of a radius.
And that's where the problem comes in. So
Okay.
it's too easy. It's too easy for people to either blame the actual shooter or the athlete, because what you would find is a person would shoot 1 or 2 shots or 3 shots, and you have a good grouping, and then there's a third and a fourth shot which is off the grouping, and then people would say, well, I pulled that, or it's the wind, or whatever. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, your firearm, your firearm is a random hole generator, and you need to understand whether it is actually the rifle, the ammunition, or the conditions, or the person behind it. So in all my writings and lectures, I always talk about the platform, the equipment. I never talk about the operator behind it, because it's very controversial. And what POAT Targets does is, it's a simple made easy mechanism for a person to train himself up in terms of good shooting habits.
That's perfect. That's exactly it. Because you can neutralize certain factors.
Absolutely.
And the more you can neutralize them, shooting is about small mistakes with
Absolutely.
big consequences.
Absolutely.
So try and cut down what you can.
Absolutely. Okay, so what we're going to do is, look, POAT Targets will work with open sights.
Yes.
But we're going to throw this off.
Yes.
POAT Targets will work with tactical sights like these.
Yes.
But we're going to throw this off. And what I suggest we do is put a decent scope on this, all right, just for this exercise, so that I have absolute clarity when I shoot the groupings,
Perfection.
right, so that we can eliminate the shooter from the equation.
Yes, please.
and see how all of this comes together.
That's perfect, because then it'll all start making sense. Okay, Chris, this is how we're going to start out. To show what this target's purpose is. The whole idea behind it is to use the app. You're going to shoot a group over here, shoot a group over here, shoot a group there, shoot a group there. You take the app, you actually take it, analyze each shot. And then the app will do all your calculations for you for CEP to set towards the center, and you will set your scope according to the center.
All right, so we're going to shoot, in this case, we are going to shoot a 20-shot group, but we divide it in 4 different groups. So we're going to shoot 5 shots, 5 shots, 5 shots, 5 shots.
Yes, because then you get your best mean radius.
Absolutely.
And then you can actually, with the calculations that the app allows you, you will be able to get your rifle sighted correctly.
I like that idea, because if you shoot 20 shots at the center of the target, it becomes very misleading in terms of where does it actual pattern.
That's right.
So
where's your mean radius then?
Absolutely. Okay, so
Okay.
let's get shooting. 5
All right,
shots.
we're going to start off with giving you a point of aim.
Okay.
All right, when you start looking through the scope, the aiming process, everybody knows the basics, the breathing, the looking straight through the scope, holding it in your shoulder firmly. But what we're going to do is actually show you how to use the point of aim.
Okay.
So when we aim through the target over there, the first thing that you're going to see is this bull will not necessarily come out until your scope is correctly focused. At the
So
end of
that
the
is
day-
parallax adjustment, and that is
Parallax,
keeping the
focus.
rifle absolutely perfectly still.
Perfectly, yes.
Okay.
Whereas previously you would be prepared to shoot on paper, and when we put the bull up, you don't see it.
Yes.
All right, so now you have a perfectly focused scope. Okay. Secondly, it comes down to muscle memory.
Of course.
To be able to shoot a group, you have to do the same thing between shots, which you cannot see on a normal paper target,
Of course.
even if you're choosing small points of aim.
I agree.
As you're pulling the trigger. So it's fine to aim. The problem comes when you start pulling that trigger. So when we aim through the scope, what you'll see on the target, you will see the actual amount that you're trembling.
Yes.
you will see the tension in your shoulders.
Okay.
You will see everything. So how to use this target, you actually start relaxing right down, leave the rifle, aiming through the scope, relax your neck, that cheek against the
Neck and shoulder.
the butt,
Relax
everything,
that
neck
shoulder.
and shoulder,
Yes.
right round to this hand until it lies quiet on this bull.
Okay.
Then bring it back and get a balance before you start trembling. And then you start with your trigger pull.
Okay.
Should you find that you start holding the rifle incorrectly or anything like that, you will see it so clearly.
Yes.
Because of these clear parameters, you'll see when you move off the bull, you'll say no, and you'll go back and do muscle memory step 2 again. The nice thing about it is we can practice it dry.
I did do a couple of dry fires and it
Yes.
actually works very well.
Right, so then now we're going to go live.
Okay.
And you're going to be sitting there, and all I'm going to do is point out where you're going, where it seems to me you're going wrong.
Okay.
And then you will actually realize the target is telling you that.
Okay.
All right, so
All right.
let's go ahead.
Okay. So let me align.
Right.
So remember why we selected this awkward combination. It's to exaggerate all those typical issues. A heavy trigger,
Yes.
a too light rifle, etc.
Yes.
Okay.
If we started with a precision rifle, they would not get the true
Yes.
picture. But
Okay.
here we're putting our money where our mouth is.
All right. So let me align.
All right, so if you're aligning, you've got to look straight to the scope, keep head up, start relaxing right through shoulder, right through the neck, the
Right.
cheek, right round to the other side, till the rifle lies quiet. Then pull it back to the point where you want to fire.
I think
And
I'm
as long
comfortable
as
with
you are
it there.
dead quiet on the bull, you can go ahead with your trigger pull. Should you see as you're pulling the trigger, you're moving off your bull, relax and do step 2 again.
Yes, I can actually see the heartbeat in the scope.
Fantastic. Relax a little bit, you're leading a bit.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's go. 5 shots.
5 shots on the left bottom bull.
That's 5 shots.
Yep. That's 5 shots on the specific bottom bull, which we will apply the app to later. Now we move up to the next bull. At any stage, you noticed if you were doing something different in between shots.
Absolutely.
Which the target will actually show you.
Absolutely.
That's why we call it the talking target. If you pay attention, it'll show you the 3 things that you keep doing wrong, and you can actually correct before you shoot. So let's go to the next bull and do our 5 shots.
That's top
Left.
right. Top left.
Top left. Okay, Chris, just before you carry on, I'd like to tell you, when you're shooting on, we're shooting on 100 meters with a .22 caliber over
Yep.
here. That is not known for a 100-meter weapon.
Of course.
Now, on our target, it's actually explained to the guys, everybody has this idea that an inch is 1 MOA on 100 yards. What they don't realize is all your ranges are on 100 meters.
Yes.
Now, on 100 meters, your MOA goes to 29,1. And we've provided you, all laid out for you, easy 100-meter MOA, 200-meter MOA, 300-meter MOA, and a 400 in black because you see black clearly at long distance.
And that is absolutely perfect for hunting applications.
Perfect for measurement, and as a result of the accuracy, you range your range correctly with your rifle before you start, and your settings will happen whether you have an 1/8 setting scope or a 1/4 setting scope.
It's all there.
You will never have to do that extra click,
Yes.
which is what was happening on the 100-yard range.
Absolutely.
On a 100-meter range for 100 yards.
All right, so my point to aim and shoot is there.
Yes, your
All right.
point of aim is there.
Second
Choose
group.
yourself a small point.
Let's move.
Right, Chris, onto the third group.
All right.
Hey, Chris, run our fourth group. That's fine. Chris, how did it go?
I think exceptionally well. Well, through the scope, obviously, you know, we have what I believe to be natural dispersion.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's 100 meters and we have a bit of wind, you know, downrange, etc. But I'm actually quite surprised. I think we did pretty good. Let's go see what it's all about.
Yeah, have a look, analyze it from there.
Absolutely.
So you already have the app on your phone. Where would this guy find his app?
Well, you can download it from the
Right on the
QR
card.
code. Yeah.
Right there, okay.
Right, so what it basically does is it gives you a frame section, right? So that you can position the frame on the target so that you can identify the actual shots. Okay, so there you can see what it does. There's a little red line that runs around there, and what you basically do is you align all of that, and then you take the 30. All right. So are you happy with this? Say yes. And now you plot the first shot. Okay. So all you need to do is plot the first shot. There we go. Right. You say that is shot 1. Then you plot shot 2. That is the second shot. You plot shot 3. That's the next shot. And there you can see it has now calculated the mean radius for you. Alright, it's calculated the mean radius. Now you go to the next target. Okay, so it shows you now it's that target there. Points and aim at it. So you go OK, and now you can see the red line now aligns with that section of the target. It's very simple to do that. That's all you do. And you say, well, the target is properly aligned, and you take the photo. You say that you are happy with the photo, and now you plot the first shot again. Yeah. Now you plot that shot. You can move it down a bit. You can move it into position, and you say that is set. And then the second one is set. Third bullet is set, and there it calculates the mean radius for you. Okay. Now you go to, it indicates that you are going to measure that section there. So you go to OK, and now you can see the line aligns with those two arrows. Can you see the red line? The red line now aligns with those arrows. So that's basically what you need to do. There we go. You say yes, and then you start adding the shots. There's shot 1, shot 2, shot 3, and you can go into 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
Right? And there it calculated you the mean radius. And it gives you the information on how to adjust your scope. Okay, and then you're going to go to the last one. It indicates over there. So you're going to go to OK. And then you run it down there on that center target. Take the photo and say yes. And all you do is you start plotting the shots. Shot 1, shot 2, shot 3. Right, and there we go, and it calculates you the mean radius on how to get to the target. And when you're happy with that, what you do is you press that button, and now you can clearly see where it indicates where the shot actually is, and it gives you all the information on how to set the scope. Now, for all intent and purposes, when you look at the actual target, you can see that the grouping was high. Right? The grouping was always high above. And this is exactly what it indicates to you. It shows you that the actual group, according to this, is that your CEP, or your center of equal probability, sits over there somewhere. So you need to move that aiming point down and in. So let's go follow these instructions and then shoot at the center target and actually see if we are now in the middle of our mean radius.
Yes. So
all right. So let's go do that.
Beautiful. So
absolutely. The important thing from that, of course, is that now your scope and your point of aim is in the middle of that mean radius, which means the data, because this is an angular measurement, it means that irrespective of the distance that you shoot, doesn't matter how big that group gets, you are always aiming center of that group, which will give you the best possibility for an impact or the least miss shoot radius.
So in association with an app working on technology,
Perfect, mate.
distance, everything, why go and waste ammo?
No, absolutely, absolutely. So let's now go validate this. Let's follow these instructions, set the scope up, shoot the 5 shots, and see if these groups are now centered over that group.
Let's go and do
Let's go do that. Okay, so according to the mean radius calculation, right, it clearly indicates to us that we need to go -4 clicks down, which is, for all intent and purposes, 1 MOA, or 1.1 MOA. So let's do that and see how it works. So, down.
What?
There we go.
Why not?
So, let's shoot at the center of the target and see how it groups.
But Chris, being an average oak alone on the shooting range, look how easy we made it.
Absolutely.
How many cartridges would you have wasted doing 3 clicks at a time, 4 clicks at a time with a guessing game, and hoping according to experience? Look what you've done.
Let me explain to you where the real problem comes. It looks fairly easy to sight your rifle at 100, okay? But let's imagine now, this was a 338 Lepore, right? And you were setting up for a 1 mile event. Or let's say it's a 6.5 Creedmoor, and you are setting up for an ELRS event, okay? At 700 meters, running around shooting targets. This is where the problem comes. Or your hunting rifle. You're going to go down to the Kalahari and you're going to shoot 500 meter shots. Now here comes the problem.
Yeah.
You sight your rifle at 100 and it all looks okay. Okay? Then you take your app, your ballistics app, Strelok, and you add the necessary information. Now it tells you dial, for example, 18 MOA, or let's say realistically 4 MOA to go to a 300 meter target. So you dial and you shoot at the 300 meter target. But all of a sudden you're low. So what do? You take your app and you adjust the speed, either the speed or the BC, right? So you adjust it so that the point of aim in the calculation is in the right place. Lekker, that makes sense. So what's the next thing? Now we dial out to 500 meters, okay? And it gives you an instruction. Let's say another 7 MOA. So you dial up 7 MOA. But when you now shoot at that 500 yards or 500 meters, where do you end up? Let's say, argument's sake, you end up reasonably high. So what do? You open up your app and you either manipulate the speed or the BC again so that the calculation and the point of aim is in the same place. Then just for the hell of it, you say, hey, let's take a shot at 1,000 meters and see how that goes. And then it's all missing. And then you realize there's something horribly wrong. But don't worry, I still have 100 meter zero. Remember?
Yeah.
Then you dial the gun down to the 100 meter zero stop. And then when you shoot at it, you are 3 or 4 inches or 3 or 4 MIA completely in the wrong direction. So what do? You start again. You find the next 100 meters and off you go. And this is what this problem resolves. In other words, instead of shooting 3 times 20 rounds to try and figure out where's a good average at 300 meters, where's a good average at 500 meters or 700 meters, all you do right from the word go is to set up the rifle scientifically correct so that the data is valid when you start extrapolating it to distance. This is what you're doing with this mechanism.
So there's no, otherwise it's a guessing game.
It stays a guessing game.
Yes. So this is, you start from scratch, you do it right, and you move from there.
Absolutely so.
And it's doing it all for you. Now, how long did that take us? I mean, basically 5 minutes of analyzing and coming and setting the scope, and we're ready to go again.
Absolutely.
And we can believe in what happens. Okay? And you're going to do everything right behind
The important thing is it's scientific. Remember, meters weet. You can't assume things.
You can't assume things.
All right.
After the adjustments we've just made, let's validate it with a 5-shot
Center. No, let's do that. Okay. How many shots you first? There we go. Okay, looks like so. amazing. Right, so
There's
if
no
we
guessing, it's all validated.
all validate. Now, if we look at these shots now, right, if you look at these shots, now even, I mean, if you look at, let's call it the extreme spread there, right, look at the extreme spread here, and the extreme spread there, look at the extreme spread that we had over there and there, okay, but now if you look at it, that the entire extreme spread sits right around the center of the target. I mean, we even have one shot perfectly centered. So this demonstrates, right, the circle in which we can expect an equal opportunity impact. So there you can see it, there.
Yeah.
All of the shots are now in that space.
With that area.
So whether this is now an angular measurement, it doesn't matter how big that group gets. You will always be aiming in the middle of the group, in the center.
So your point of aim is perfect.
It's perfectly centered.
Centered, and as you go along, you are validating, no guesswork, none of this playing around with your garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly.
Right, for the lone guy out on the range, spends hundreds of rands going out there, getting his loads done, etc., etc., gets to the target, never sure what happens. Why don't you just use the ideal equipment? Save yourself money, time, and the worst of all, you don't lose confidence in your weapon.
Absolutely.
We need you in our culture.
Do yourself a favor, go to Game and Hunt, Wild and Yacht magazine, and find articles on debunking gun stuff. There is a lot of information on exactly what we discussed here, CEP, mean radius, and everything else that you possibly need. If you follow this program and methodology, let me tell you, your missed shots is going to evaporate.
Because that's what we want. That's the aim. That's what we're all striving for in our shooting here.
Perfect.
Okay, we've had a lot of fun this afternoon. We've had a lot of success. And it's been fantastic here with Christopher showing us his app as well. What I'd like to do is just explain to you how it works. We have a whole range of targets. On these targets, that is a standard 100-meter target on an average 3 to 9 scope. This sticker works for everybody on every level with any scope. On your second level, we have a bigger bull over there, 200 meter plus on a 3 to 9 scope. Just for interest's sake, for competition purposes, these are being shot on 300 meter grouping competitions. Every sticker below that is measured exactly an inch. The purpose of that is to be able to mix and match. Should you want solid lines on this 100 meter target, you can take this orange, put it onto there. That circle is exactly an inch over there. Should you prefer to shoot on corners with your scope's crosshairs, you've got an orange over here with the center to aim at to practice the 3 steps that we spoke about. And then we're sitting with a white bull over here. Guys that are colorblind, you can still shoot, even though these may be a problem. You have a white bull with a red or blue option, and to you it's going to be black and white. Anybody with eye problems, should you wish to set in an inch high or whatever, you've got the perfect measurement of an inch above the circle. It's a ½ inch to the circle, a ½ inch to the center of that bull, and a ½ inch up. So your sticker would fit right on top of the circle over there. For the chaps that are shooting long range, gong shooting, etc., we're sitting with a 400 meter plus target. This target over here, up to 1.2 kilometers, your spotters can use to guide you on a plate. You do not put the sticker on a gong. You put it on a whiteboard along the gong, you shoot in, and then you go to 200, 300, moving the board along. In that way, you can prepare yourself for all your competitions. And you don't have a buddy standing behind you and saying, okay, you shot high, you shot low, and taking unnecessary rounds to actually sight your rifle. So that's the whole range of targets. It's cheaper for you in the retail than to download a gimmick target. As you can see, we have package targets over here. There are 100 targets in a packet. They're costing you R1 each or R1.50 each, depending on the shop that you buy at. We can also provide them to you in rolls if you prefer to do that. Whatever is we always welcome any input from your side as well. What do you want out of your weapon? Do you want to sit out there and just have fun shooting, or do you actually want to get the best out of your weapon? use the ideal equipment. If you don't have the ideal equipment, you may spend the afternoon there and go home with a lot of loss of confidence. Between point of aim targets, showing you how to neutralize your situation behind the scope, seeing the shot right through, not just the aim, but after you pulling the trigger. That's the situation we need to create for you. It's going to be super cost effective. Your ammunition is expensive, and to be quite honest, you can actually get these targets in any gun shop. Important to know is that this works in conjunction with your Smart Zero app. Your Smart Zero app on the A3 target gives you a QR code on the left-hand top side where you can scan and you can use the app, which will save you years of setting and sighting. Just remember, where would you be able to get POAT targets? You would be able to call me, Roland Cullinan, on 082-801-2826. You would get it in any good gun shop, and you would definitely easily get it online at eHunter and Outdoor online shop.